Hey guys, today we are going to be reading Dumb and Ditzy. This is part 2 of chapter 7. I'm sorry for not posting on Sunday. I was out of town and didn't have any of my equipment with me to post. So you get it today. I hope you enjoy. So, you're the fascist that manipulated my son into wanting a job with the enemy, she said dryly, blue eyes cold. Miss Reed, I promise you, our offer is pure, Hotch tried to assure her. Nobody's trying to manipulate him. We only want what's best for him. That college said the same thing. Promised that he'd be happy and enjoy his time. So why is it that he came back to me more introverted than before? Why did he come back with bruises on his skin and even bigger bruises on his heart? Can you promise me that he can come back to me whole and mean it? I gave him my consent, not that he needed it. But if this job brings him back to me broken, if it brings him back to me because it drove him to be like me, then we will have a serious problem, Mr. Fascist. She ended, never once changing her serious expression. We can't promise he'll never get hurt, Morgan took over, but we will do our best to protect him. Oh, you will, she said somewhat mockingly. And why should I trust your word? You, who've known my son for less than a week, Diana demanded to know. Because he's too remarkable to lose, Garcia told the woman passionately. The moment I saw him, he looked so different. I knew he was special. I just didn't know why. I know now, though, and it's not because he's a genius or the cutest thing since baby kittens. Then what is it? Diana asked, interested in the answer. It was him, that's all, just him. His nervous gestures, his eagerness to help others, his kindness, Garcia rattled off. I had no clue how smart he was until recently, but it doesn't change him, stupid, average, or blindingly brilliant. He shines so lovingly, ma'am. How could I not be drawn to him? Garcia inquired. That light of his is irreplaceable. It's so bright and warm. To lose it would be a tragedy. You're right. I've only known him for a few days. I don't know his middle name, his favorite food, what movies he likes, or what he does in his spare time. Her breath hitched. But I know that if he died, I would mourn for years. I don't even like to think about it, to never see that sweet smile again. She shuddered. But ma'am, I'm not the only one who's been drawn to him. He's touched everyone here in some way, and not a one of us would ever wish him dead or hurt. I can't give you physical proof, but I swear on all that I am that not one person here is apathetic or hateful towards him. Please, believe me, she implored to the stone-faced woman. And you all feel this way? Diana asked after a moment. Everyone nodded, eyes completely serious. All right, then. I believe you, she said finally. You do? Emily asked, not quite believing that it was that easy to sway someone who obviously mistrusted them. Impassionate speeches like that always come from the heart. I used to be a literature teacher. I know how words work. I believe your friend, and I believe the emotions you all wear so proudly for me to see. Can I just say, I think you are awesome, Garcia asked the older woman. You just did, but I always take flattery. Oh, I am definitely getting your autograph, Garcia said excitedly, as she took around in her purse for paper and a pen. So, you look into people's lives, Miss Garcia? Diana asked delicately, making the others exchange wary glances. "That's more or less the job description," Garcia hummed, succeeding in her task and handing over a small notepad and glittery pen to Diana. The older woman calmly took them and began to write in a neat script. It took longer than expected, and when she handed it back to Garcia, she knew why. "Who are these people?" she asked as she looked over a list of names. "People I want destroyed," Diana told her bluntly. Miss Reed, we can't." Emily tried to intervene and was cut off. "They all hurt Spencer. One boy actually sprayed ammonia in his eyes, and his punishment was 1 week of restricted access to the labs. How is that fair or right?" she asked them in a tone that only an angry mother could possess. "Miss Reed, we can't do that. It's against policy. Not only that, but the incident happened years ago. No matter how this is pursued, neither you nor Spencer would gain anything from it," Hotch said, patiently but firmly. "I'm not asking the government to do anything. Why would I trust those bastards with something so important? I'm asking Miss Garcia if she'd be willing to help. If she wants to. I never said it had to be done on your computers. I don't trust the government with anything," she told him fiercely before calming down and giving him a look that he felt almost seared his soul. "You have a child, don't you?" Diana asked, still staring into his dark eyes, her own never blinking, her expression never wavering. "Yes, how did you know?" he calmly inquired back. "A mother always knows," was all she said, finally breaking the gaze and picking up her book again. "Tell me, Mr. Hotchner, how old is your child?" "He'll be 4 soon," the man answered with a faint smile on his lip as he thought of Jack. "And would you do anything for him?" Her eyes scanned over the pages as if she was absorbed in the novel. "Of course. Anything?" She glanced up at him. "So if you knew your child was being hurt, if you knew your child was being beaten and talked down upon day after day, and the school officials who are meant to protect him do nothing, what would you do?" "I would talk it out with the principal, and if that didn't work, take it to court," he told her after thinking over the scenario in her head. It wasn't the answer she was looking for, and she let him know. "Do not give me the answers of a politician!" she snapped, slamming the book shut and glaring at him. "I'm not stupid, Mr. Hotchner, so please don't console me like you would some fool who couldn't tie their shoelaces right. You are a parent, but more importantly, you and I and every other human on this planet are animals, whether we like to think that way or not. Animals, Mr. Hotchner, have instincts, and when their young are hurt by another predator, they don't peacefully sit down and talk things out. They get angry, and they attack. They will bite, claw, rip, even kill, if that's what it takes. And don't tell me you are any different, because you're not. All you have to do is imagine your child broken and bleeding on the ground, calling out for you. That's all you need to see, and that rage that every parent has ignites into a fire that can't be put out by words. Do you understand me, Mr. Hotchner?" Diana asked him harshly, clearly expecting a truthful answer. "Perfectly," was his short reply, his face pale as the image of Jack bleeding on the floor flashed through his head. She was right, he noted, because at that moment all he felt was rage and the need to maim whatever hurt his son. "Miss Garcia, you don't have to do what I asked. I only asked because I couldn't fight for Spencer before," she told the bubbly man she told a bubbly woman, completely ignoring the fact that she had handed Hotch his own ass, something that had never been done before. But my episodes were much more intense and frequent back then. I honestly don't know how we survived, and Spencer refuses to tell me. That boy, always changing the subject on me, she muttered in irritation. Ma'am, I, unlike others, have no qualms about giving an eye for eye to certain people. Not at work, of course, she hastily added. But how did you get these names if you didn't know? Did Reed tell you? The day Spencer comes clean about that is the day he'll declare he hates coffee, the older woman muttered dryly. No, the little bastards found our number and left taunting messages for him. I discovered them in a moment of clarity and kept my mind enough to write down the names. Good thing I did, because he erased them and tried to tell me I had been mistaken. I think he was worried I would do something awful, like call up the deans and presidents I knew, and have those people banned from the universities for life. Silly boy. Even when he disliked them, he still feels they deserve an education, she muttered fondly as she thought about her child. But you can't help but love him for it. JJ spoke for the first time, a warm smile on her face. So, anything we should know about Pretty Boy? Morgan asked, trying to lighten the mood. Diana shot him a weird look. Mr. Morgan, she began slowly, as if she was testing each word out beforehand. Are you attracted to my son? Don't let him fool you. He's just acting, she told him with brutal honesty. What? No! He yelped as the others began laughing. I am not attracted to him. I am a ladies' man. I gave him that nickname because it fits. Man, this is not fair. Girls call each other pretty all the time, and no one accuses them of being lesbians, he complained. Double standard, Morgan. Double standard, Emily told him, a megawatt smile that clearly emphasized how much joy she got from his suffering. So, Miss Reed, anything we should know? Any interesting tidbits? He desperately asked, trying to turn to conversation in a safer, less embarrassing direction. If he ever says, I'm fine, assume the worst and get him to a hospital. He once told me he was fine after he had scraped his hand on a rusty can and was broken on a broken ankle, she said after mulling over the question. I'm not sure why he has such a hard time accepting help, but I have a feeling he doesn't enjoy showing any type of weakness. Okay, I'm fine is an alert phrase to know something is not right. Anything else? Morgan asked, committing what she said to memory. If he's not talking, then something's wrong. It's harder to pry things from him than you think. Trust me, he's a master when it comes to redirecting conversations. Don't let him do it. Ask him what's wrong. Ask him over and over until he answers. Follow him out of the room if you have to. He'll tell you after you've nagged him for a while. He's already tried that on us, Rossi told her, as he thought of yesterday morning, and how Reed babbled about fashion to try and throw them off. His defense mechanisms are certainly interesting, Rossi commented. Interesting and effective. He would have slipped by us with this act if it weren't for a few key things. And that, fascists, is the only reason I didn't lunge at you the moment you entered my room, she growled at him. What? Emily choked out, shocked by the woman's words. I hate the government, and I laughed at how well he fooled you. The fact is, though, that his silly persona was draining him. I think it was killing him not to be able to talk to people how he wanted to. So I thank you for breaking him out of that role, she ended, gritting her teeth when she said thank you. It is as Garcia says. He has a light that just draws you in, Rossi told her smoothly. Yes, well, he'll be back soon. I imagine he found out that I hid my slippers in the ceiling boards by now. So, I'll leave you agents with this. She crooked a finger at them, and they all drew closer until they were inches from her face. If you break your promise and my baby comes back broken, mark my words, I will find you, and I will make you pay. You may end up dead, or you may end up like me in a beautiful room like this. I'll make sure of it. Unlike last time, I have faces to go with names. Doesn't matter where you hide or how far you go, I will hunt you down. Trust me, they will never find your body, because there won't be anything left to find by the time I'm through with you. Understand? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. And know that I don't give idle threats, so you better keep to your word. Promise, Garcia muttered first, still in awe and a little fear of this woman. Promise, Morgan said next, already making a mental note to look out for the kid. This lady was on par with his mama, and that was something. Promise, a shaky Emily said at the image of a laughing Diana Reed holding a bloody chainsaw skipped through her head. You have my word, Rossi told her, openly impressed with this woman. Pity she was ill. She would have made a great interrogator. Promise, JJ vowed, thinking of her own son. Henry was still only a baby, but as one mother to another, she could understand where Diana was coming from. Understood, Hotch said, sounding like his old self, but his complexion was still pale. Suddenly, all he wanted was to head back home and hold his son. Good, she said, her mood changing completely. The smile on her face so similar to the one Reed had that it made it obvious they were one of the same blood. It's nice to know Spence has such lovely friends, Diana told them in a light voice. Before any of them could reply, a haggard voice was heard in the hall, and they all turned to see a slightly rumpled Reed stumble through the doorway with a pair of pink, fluffy slippers held tightly in one hand. Really, Mom? He started in exasperation as he came near. You couldn't tell me you put them in the ceiling boards? I thought I was going crazy when I couldn't find them. When I did, I had to fight off a huge spider that declared them its home. Do you know how hard it is to fight a spider when you're standing on a wobbly chair and half of you is stuck in a small space? I hope you're happy. I almost died for you today. All for the sake of some slippers, he muttered darkly, making a disgusted face as he pulled a cobweb out of his hair. I'm sorry, I completely forgot I put them there. The government was coming for them, so I had to hide them, she explained in an urgent voice. Mom, why would the government want your slippers? He said in a voice that indicated he had asked this several times in the past. The government wants anything they can get. It's already got you. The thing I like best after you are my slippers, she reasons. Nice to know I'm one grade above footwear, Spencer muttered dryly, handing their shoes over before looking at the agents. Sorry it took so long. Is everything all right? He asked in concern when he noticed how pale they were. Fine, we're fine, Emily assured him in a rocky voice. It was nice chatting with your mom, but we have to get back to the hotel. Yep, gotta finish up packing since we're heading out tomorrow. Morgan jumped, supporting her excuse. JJ and Garcia began nodding in earnest agreement. Ah, okay, Reed said slowly, giving them a weird look, wondering what had happened when he was gone. I didn't really get to talk much with my mom about the job offer. Oh, that's all right, Spencer. These fine young people have assured me that everything will be fine. Diana cut him off. Go ahead and head out. The last thing I want is you spending all your time in here. Really? He asked her incredulously, head swiveling back and forth between her and the agents. I mean, you're really okay with this? Yes, their words have swayed me. I trust them to take care of you, Diana told him with a happy smile. Mom, I'm 24. I don't need to be taken care of. Besides, that's not their job. He stuttered, with an embarrassed blush on his face. Your mom probably needs to rest, Hutch cut in. I think we've bothered her enough. Thank you for your time and understanding, Miss Reed, he said with a tilt of his head before heading towards the door. The pleasure's all mine, she told them, before mouthing, hurt him and die, when Spencer had turned to look at Hotch's disappearing form. The others gave Diana a hasty goodbye before following their leader. Morgan and Garcia grabbing one of Reed's arms and dragging him along. Hey, wait! Bye, Mom! He yelled to her as he was dragged outside by some very petrified agents. Are you sure she didn't scare you guys? He asked them. Because if she threatened you, I'll make her apologize. She had no right to do that. No, she didn't threaten us, Garcia fibbed. She was just so awe-inspiring, we had to leave the room. Right, my lovelies? She called out to the others. Right, Emily sighed, leaning against the wall in relief, glad to be out of that room. That woman could probably make her mother cower. I'm not sure I believe you, Reed trailed off. Kid, if we're going to be on the same team, you need to start trusting us, Morgan told him seriously. You might as well start now. All right, if you say so, Reed replied, still suspicious of their actions. I guess this is where we part ways? Thank you for coming to meet me here. It means a lot, he told him in a grateful tone. And it was no problem. And what do you mean, part ways? Garcia asked. I took the bus, he explained. So, we have 2 vehicles, both with more than enough room for your noodle frame to fit in, Morgan snorted. Save your money and take the free ride. Besides, we need to help you start packing, Garcia gushed as she grabbed his wrist and dragged him over to the SUVs. Wait, what? Packing? Reed asked her as he untangled his wrist from her grip. Well, yeah, she said, confused about his reaction. You can't go to Quantico with just the clothes on your back. Guys, I'm not sure if you realize this, but I'm not going with you guys tomorrow, he told the group seriously. What? Penelope gasped as the others stood in shock at his statement. But you said yes. I said I would take the job offer. I never said I would join you right away. I still have the lease on my apartment, and I can't just leave my job without at least a little notice. They deserve a 2-week notice. Not only that, but I need to research some things. How much the apartments are in Virginia, the cost of living, the best neighborhoods with the lowest crime rates, and a plethora of other things. Then he took a deep breath and left them in disbelief. When I go to Virginia, I'm joining the academy.